Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mental Motivator. I'm your host, Nakia Campbell, and as always, I am so happy to have all of you tuning in from around the world to witness ordinary people who have used the power of their mindsets to defeat the odds and achieve extraordinary success. Now, today's guest is Brian Simmons, aka the Great One, and he's taking over in life by winning battles on and off the field. Take a look. So Brian, the Great One.
Yes.
Tell our viewers a little bit more about your musical background, how you got started, and where you're from.
Well, first, thanks for having me, everybody. Thanks.
You are welcome.
Yes. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. Born and raised.
I can hear the accent.
I'm a graduate, 2010 proud graduate of McDonough 35 Senior High School.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know some people who are going to love that.
Oh, you do?
Brian, I got some family members who are going to love that.
1331. They know what the number means. But that's where I'm from. That's where I got my musical start. I started playing in band in middle school.
Okay.
I started on trombone. Played trombone for about 2 years.
Okay.
But the band director always told me my arms was too short.
To go out and come back in?
Because I couldn't get down to 6 and 7. I ain't have enough elbow right there.
Oh, you're messing up the sound, huh?
I just wasn't getting there.
Right.
Because a trombone slide has 7 positions. I could get to 5. So it's 2 notes and stuff I can't even play. 2 other positions I can't get to.
Right.
So there'll be times that I have to just rest out. So eventually it was like, you know what? We got to find something that you can be a little more effective on. Like I was a good musician, but that was a physical thing.
Okay.
So I started playing baritone.
Okay.
Baritone is for a lot of people who don't know the instrument, it's almost like a bigger version of a trombone, hybrid trumpet. We play a lot of melodic instruments, but the biggest thing for me was that it was keys, buttons.
Okay.
So I started on baritone in 8th grade. I played in high school all through. I was section leader for 3 years.
Okay.
And then upon graduation, I attended Southern University and played baritone in the band there, where I was also section leader.
So you never tried to go back to that trombone, huh?
Actually, I played trombone in the symphonic band at Southern for 2 years.
Really?
Yeah.
So the arms grew a little bit? You got a couple more inches? Okay.
A little bit, I learned. But, I went back to trombone because that was a need that we had at the time, but it was also a skill set I possessed.
Right.
And by that time, I was a more mature musician.
Right.
So just overall, my whole musical background really started in Louisiana.
Awesome. And I love the part about not giving up.
Oh, yeah.
You really wanted to play that trombone,
Mm-hmm.
but you said that you decided to find something else that you could be effective at. And
Yes.
I think that is a great display of a growth mindset,
Mm-hmm.
pushing through. So I'm interested to know first, what part of New Orleans? Because, I got a lot of family from the 7th Ward, New Orleans East, where were you hanging out at?
And that's it just really depends on the family member I was with and the time of life. Like my mother, she's from the West Bank.
Okay.
So her family is all through Harvey, Marrero, West Wego, got that whole little clique over there. My dad's family was from the 9th Ward in the lower 9th Ward.
Okay.
So I was always there. When I went to high school at 35, I was in the 7th Ward.
Right.
So I was a little bit everywhere,
Right.
At some point, I was a part of a second line band. We, after school, sometimes we'll go down to the French Quarter. And this is high school.
Right.
We'll go, as soon as school over, we'll go down there and play a couple of songs, try to make us a couple of dollars. So I was everywhere.
Oh, y'all were the kids out there on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, okay. You were running around playing in the band. And,
Trying.
And at that age, I was probably over there at the Cool Cup lady house trying to get a Cool Cup, frozen cup, whatever
That's
y'all
good.
call it.
Yeah,
we
frozen cup.
were there for the summers. So you mentioned Southern University.
Mm-hmm.
You graduated high school. You went to Southern University. So what was that like?
It was an experience.
Okay.
It was an era of enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
It was an era of maturity.
Okay.
In multiple ways. When I came to Southern University, it was a different experience because for the first time I was by myself.
Okay.
You know, physically, you know, as far as people being around. That was, and that's true for a lot of college students, but I was in my own space. So I was really just learning myself. I was really learning the things, you know what I'm saying, that I gravitated towards. I also learned discipline.
Okay.
I think I was a disciplined musician. I think I was a disciplined student, but I never understood the levels that it went to. I think Southern, especially as a freshman, it really just created a lot of structure in my life.
Were you living on campus? Is
Oh,
that
yeah.
why you were by yourself and isolated?
Just in general, I was on campus, but again, when you take somebody from their home and everybody they know in their family, you know, I come from a family of a lot of independent people. You know, we family, but we are independently great as well.
Right.
A lot of people in my family have a vision, they have a purpose, and they
Right.
go out for that.
Right.
So when I got to Southern, it was me trying to figure out what's my purpose. You know,
Right.
okay, they're doing this. My dad's in sports. My mom was in law enforcement. My uncles was in contracting. Everybody was doing their thing, going up the ladder.
Right.
One of my aunts, she's in the medical field. What am I doing here?
Right.
I was always a good musician.
Right.
So when I was at Southern, I got more serious about music because that was the best skill set I had at the time.
Right.
So I dove into that, and then just the organizational structure of the university and me just having to fall in line. It was it's almost like being in the military.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I see how y'all have to be lined up and moving and doing all these things. It looks very militant out there.
And the thing about it is I had the same, in high school we had to do some of the same things, but it wasn't that structured.
Right.
You know, and
Right.
it wasn't a lack of anything on that side. It's just that, you know, you get a student from 14 to like 18, they're all over the place.
Right.
So it's some stuff you
Right.
just gotta, okay.
Right.
But when I got there to Southern University at 18, it was like,
Okay.
You know, the first time I walked in a room for the parent meeting, I was late. I was late. Like, I just opened the big door and I walked in.
And
It's
this
like,
was for the band.
Yeah, you just see a whole lot of people just sitting there. And my band director, Mr. Jackson, he looked to his left, and I was just like, had some gum.
Right. Right.
He was like, spit that gum out. And the New Orleans in me was like, man, who you talking to? And I was like,
Right.
This dude energy is different.
I'm gonna just spit the gum out.
Yeah, you know, like it's different.
You felt the energy.
Yeah, it's different when somebody tell you something and you like, oh no, you about that.
Right.
You mean it.
Right.
And then
Right.
for that split second, I had to think of.
And for a moment, even though I'm such a hard head, I'm not about that.
Yeah.
I'm not about that life right now. I'm gonna spit this gum out.
And then for that, in that split second, I realized that this is ultimately what I wanted to do. So I was gonna get with the program right then and there.
Right.
And that created a structure and discipline in me that I carry to this day. That's what
Right.
Southern University did for me.
That's what Southern University did for you.
Mm-hmm.
Purpose, discipline. So
Focus.
tell me about, I know you were in the band at Southern. How many years were you actually playing in the band?
I played in the band for 4 years. I graduated in 4 years too.
You played and graduated for 4 years. Man, you did better than I did. I'm not gonna tell y'all how long it took me to graduate when I graduated, but I'm proud of you for getting out in 4.
And it wasn't, and to your point, it wasn't that I was just an amazing student. I knew what I was there to do.
Right.
Even in my
Right.
lazy moments, and I was like, ooh, I might not, this semester things ain't going the way that I needed to go. I knew that, no, you push through, you finish.
Right.
So just that purpose of me trying to get out of school and being a band director and all of those things, like that kept me motivated.
So you were directing the band while you were still in school?
Sometimes, like I was a student conductor as well. So
Okay.
I would conduct a pep band. We used to have battle bands sometimes. Both of our band directors would be judging. I would take the human jukebox. I would take the band to the Battle of the Bands.
Right.
I'd be in the Battle of the Bands, conducting, of course, their music and all.
Really? On the field?
No, we'd be in the stands.
Oh,
We'd be in the
okay,
stands,
okay.
like, but I think I was a pretty responsible and dependable student.
Okay.
And I think that is what they awarded and rewarded me, you know what I'm saying, for my efforts.
Right. Well, y'all, when we come back, we will learn more about Mr. Brian Simmons, the great one, and his experiences at Southern University. And we are back again on the Mental Motivator with Brian Simmons, the great one. And we're going to ask a few more questions. So, Brian, my first question is, tell everyone, how did you become band director from a student conductor at Southern University?
It's a combination of things. On the Southern University side, we were down a staff member.
Okay.
We were down a staff member, so that opened up a need for certain things, so that certain people wouldn't be overworked. And again, as I told you before, I was responsible, I was disciplined, I was dependable. But the most important thing was I was a good musician.
Right.
And before I came to Southern, I'm gonna tell this part right here.
Okay.
Before I came to Southern, I was like conducting like all-star bands at like 18.
Okay.
So I was writing for the music, I was doing this, I was conducting the band, I was bringing them places. So when I came into the band program, everybody already knew that.
Okay.
You know? They already knew. It was like, okay, this is the the dude who be doing this, that, and the other.
Right.
But again, when I got there, how that place is run, none of that matter. You do your job.
Right.
And I did my job.
Right.
And I think they respected that. It was like, he could have came in here any kind of way thinking that he was going to be this, asking for all of this, but I didn't do any of those things.
Right.
And so when that opportunity came up and the need was there, they saw the talent that I already displayed.
Right.
Like when I was at Southern, every summer when school stopped, I was going back home to New Orleans and I was doing the All-Star Band. And we was going places, battling people, I'm 18 years old, 19 years old, talking to bus companies. Like, just trying to, make stuff work. So again, they saw my talent. So once I graduated, my band director, Mr. Lawrence Jackson, he retired. He was transitioning to the next part of his life. Mr. Jackson, I think he retired at maybe 38 years. Not just at Southern, but just in general. So
it's a long time.
So, and our assistant director, Mr. Hamer, he moved up into the director position.
Okay.
But the important part about that is when he was assistant director, he would give me jobs to do. You know what I'm saying? Just to be able to.
He was already grooming you.
Yeah,
he was already grooming you.
We got a dance routine coming up. I need this. Got you. So when he moved up, he already knew, you got this, you can handle it.
It sounds like he was setting you up for greatness because he knew that you were the great one.
Yes.
Way back then.
Yes.
At Southern University, even before you graduated. And that's amazing, and it speaks volumes to who you are and the value that you brought to the Southern University organization.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
That they saw you as soon as you came in. They weren't just looking at you.
Yeah.
But they saw you. They saw you.
Yeah.
They saw you. And so now we go from Southern University. We go from Southern University to TSU. How did we get you? What'd you find out?
How you say I didn't know.
TSU. Right. So how did that transition happen? Y'all, he trying to act like he don't know. He knows.
I know now, y'all. I didn't at first. I know now.
How did we get you here in Houston, Texas? Band director of the Ocean of Soul from Southern University.
I like to tell the truth.
Right. Be honest. Be honest.
I like to tell the truth.
But you gonna tell me you got fired?
Oh no, no. Narratives. See? No.
No, I'm just kidding.
But I like to tell the truth, and I like to tell it in a way that is clear
And understandable.
comprehensive,
Right.
and inflective.
Right.
You know, a lot of times we tell the truth and we tell our side of the story, but we tell, you did this, and you said this, and you said this. But what was going on inside of you when it was time to make all these decisions?
Right.
So
it's time to be accountable. Let's go.
So
Let's be accountable.
I think the best answer was, at that point in life, I was 29. I was still assistant director.
Oh, so you haven't been here that long?
No, I got here at 29, yeah.
Okay.
So I was still at Southern University. I was 29 years old. I was assistant director, chief arranger. I was also the director of the All-Star Band in Baton Rouge, Louisiana Leadership Institute. I was on maybe my 4th or 5th year there. I had some things going on with the different high schools. I had a lot of responsibility. I had a lot of things going on. But it's something about it. I just felt like I kept hitting my head on the ceiling.
Right.
It's like I see so much greatness and things that we can do, but I always was getting shut doors.
Right.
And ultimately, that made me have to take a step back. So one day I'm on the bus. We're getting ready to play Texas Southern University. It's 2019.
Okay.
Getting ready to play Texas Southern University.
Okay.
By that time, I was like 27. And as we're getting off the bus, somebody come and stop me. And it was like, we want you at Texas Southern.
Really?
We're going to open up the job, and we need you to apply. I was like, okay, dude.
Oh, right.
As I'm about to get ready to go into the game and play against y'all.
Right.
Okay, didn't mean nothing to me.
Right.
And then that was 19. We get a whole year later. It's 2020. So in 2020, around November, October, I started getting calls from these same people. And it was like, the job is going to be posted on this day. I'm like, dude, leave me alone.
God kept opening up these doors and you kept shutting them while you felt your head was hitting the ceiling over there at Southern University.
But I was comfortable.
Right.
You know? And
right.
that's that middle line. You know, I want to
right.
be progressive, but this is what I know.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, but something told me, you know what, let me just go through the process. Let's just see how this is going to go. I'm going to tell these people no.
Right.
That's what I was thinking. I'm going to tell these people, they're not going to call me. So
right.
I start filling out everything. That's in November. I fill out the application. December, you don't hear nothing. January, you don't hear nothing. So we get back in January. We start doing our regular stuff. At that time, it was COVID. So 2020, that fall, you know, there was no football.
Right.
So we getting into spring 21 now. Spring 21, that's when he started bringing swag sports back. So we had our first one football game, the band performed. This is maybe in the middle of the spring sometime. Right after that game was over, I get like email. And it's like, you have made it to this part. This is going to be the interview. I was like, whoa, hold on. Like, okay, hold on, y'all. Like, I'm kind of in the middle of something right now. Like, I know I was playing with y'all, but
right,
like, I'm in the middle of something right now.
Right.
And so, again, but I was still comfortable.
You know, there is no success in the comfort zone.
I know it now. I know it now. And that's what that feeling was.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, let me go through this. So they gave me my date. I came, did my interview. I didn't tell nobody though.
Ooh.
I didn't tell nobody. Nobody gonna tell me. Cause I still didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
So I came out, did my interview. Interview went good. And maybe like after I finished the interview, it started making those rounds that I came. And so everybody started asking me, you going to TSU? You going to TSU? And I was just like,
right.
No, because I don't have the job. Like, I didn't go that far in detail.
Right.
No, because I don't have the job. And so it was getting closer and closer, and then I started getting further and further along. And then these people sent me an offer letter. I was like,
you was like, all right, now I have to tell the truth.
And now I have to make a decision.
Right.
Now you got to be a man.
Right.
That's what it was.
Right.
So I'm looking at what they said to me. I ain't like the number. The number was $2,000 more than what I made already.
Right.
So I'm like, you want me to move up and take on more responsibility, more responsibility too. I'm going from the assistant to the head, and then you want to pay me $2,000 extra. So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. And I was well within my right to do that. And so
Right.
I'm like, yeah,
right.
they're not going
You know your worth.
Yeah, I'm like, they're not going to do that.
Right.
Then a week later, I get another one. And the number changes. Was like,
Right.
I'm like, okay. So, and I just got to tell the truth. I went to my boss. He and I worked together my whole time at Southern. We were tag team partners for the longest. We were tag team partners. Like, we wrote together. You know, we ran the band together. But once Mr. Hamer transitioned out, he moved up to be my boss. Mr. Taylor moved up to be my boss. And I just had a conversation with him. I was like, look, you know, this is what it is. Can you match that? Can you? And he was like, you can't do that. You can't match it, you know? So I was just like, okay. I was like, well, can I at least, you know, get a promotion? I keep the same salary. Just give me a promotion.
It seems like you tried everything you could to not accept what God was trying to do for you. Here it is, you've gone through all these interviews. Mm-hmm. They're sending you all these different offer letters, taking the salary up, increasing it, and you steady running back to that comfort zone. But can you just keep me here? Yeah, if you do this, I'll just stay here.
No, I needed to know though.
Right.
I needed to know, like, was there potential? Did I have a future? Like, just tell me.
Right.
What is it?
Right.
Because if you
yes
tell me
or
no,
right,
then I gotta go.
Right.
Because if I stay, I'm gonna be bitter. I'm gonna be angry, and that was a choice I made for myself.
Right.
And I can't even blame you, homie.
Right.
You know, so tell me what it is. And so it was like with the promotion thing, it's a lot of stuff around it. We can't really get the paperwork and stuff. Then I had to go home and I sat down. I had to. At first, I told him I wasn't gonna do it. I told him I wasn't. Me and him had that conversation. I was like, yeah, but I'm not worried about that.
Right.
And then something just overcame me when I got home, and I was just like, no, choose you.
Don't
Respect
stay in the shadows.
you.
Don't stay in the shadows.
Yes, because I all of these things, all these feelings are coming up out of me because you have more to give.
Right.
You know what they're gonna allow you to give here. You know how far you can go. Go out there and do.
Your purpose is greater. The great one.
Yes.
The great one.
Yes. I said so much until I had to believe. You know.
Where did that name come from? Did you give it to yourself?
You really want to know?
Yeah.
I never told nobody this. Nobody ever asked that question. This is a good question.
Where did that name come from?
So before I became assistant director at Southern, my band director, Mr. Hamer, that's his name, Haymer, Mr. Hamer. Mr. Hamer, like band directors, what we like to do, if you ever see our sheet music, we got the name of the song, we got the name of the artist, you have the arranger, and then every few band directors, you have your persona. So Mr. Hamer was Hamer Time.
Hamer Time.
Yeah,
okay.
like Hamer Time. He was Hamer Time. Everybody knew that. And so, yeah. Like, and you know what? You see how funny it is?
Right.
But nobody forgot it.
Right.
That was his, every time he came in, someone, Hamer Time.
Right.
Everybody was like, Hamer Time. It was a thing.
Right.
So for me, once I got offered the position as assistant director, I was like, I'm the chosen one. That's who I am.
Right.
I'm the chosen one.
Right.
And I was the chosen one for like 4 years. That's what the name I went through. And then it got to a point to where it's maybe like 4 years in, I started to see my work and myself differently. I said, no, I ain't chosen. I'm great.
I'm great.
I'm here now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, y'all chose me, and yeah, but now I'm great on my own merit.
Right.
The great one came from that. But those names, those letters together, the great one, those words together, that's The Rock.
The Rock.
You're going one on one with the great one. That's where it comes from.
Okay.
The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
And everybody remembers it. The great one.
Yeah, that's where that name came
The
from.
great one. So I want to ask you, now that we have you here at Texas Southern University, how do you feel like you've contributed to changing the culture of the Ocean of Soul?
That's a good question. I would first say that before you can look at the ocean, before you can look at Texas Southern University, you have to look at Houston in general. Houston is such a diverse city. It's full of opportunity. It's full of so many things. And people see that. And sometimes these institutions, universities, organizations, they suffer because of the type of commitment that it takes to make these organizations great. sometimes you got to ignore all of that other stuff.
Right.
You know, in a nutshell, the students, when I first got here, there were so many excuses of why they couldn't be where they need to be. There were so many excuses of why they couldn't do what they need to do. So my first thing was building commitment.
Right.
I wanted to teach them commitment. You know,
Right.
when you say you are going to do something, you show up.
Right.
You give everything you got for it.
Right.
And you going to get that in return.
You sounded like Denzel Washington right now.
Hey, I'm good like that.
Do what you gonna say.
Yeah.
All right. Right.
Fence is one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
But anyway.
You was practicing before you got here.
That just happened. I don't know. I just do that. That's one of my points. But
Okay.
the biggest thing is just teaching them commitment and dedication. I think that's the biggest change of the culture that I've put in. Discipline, commitment, dedication, being where you're supposed to be, doing the right things when people not looking.
Integrity.
Yes, yes. Oh, we talk about that all the time.
Right.
Just integrity. So with me pushing those, principles and pillars, that's what I like to call them. Because all organizations have to have pillars that they are built upon.
Right.
So me teaching them those pillars, it created a better sense of community.
Right.
It created a better investment of the students, and they care more. They don't just care more about the band. They care more about the city. They care more about the community. They care more about themselves.
Right.
I had to teach them to see that through band, as band taught me the same thing.
Right.
That's the change.
Right. Well, TSU is known as the ninth wonder of the world. Mm-hmm. And you've taught the students commitment. You taught them dedication. You try to instill in them integrity.
Yeah.
As the ninth wonder of the world, how do you feel that you, Brian Simmons, personally have contributed and played your part in making the world a better place?
It's going to go back to the answer that I had before, but we're going to start talking about the reasoning. I think I make the world a better place a little bit every day because, our generation, the current generation right now, these kids are broken.
Right.
They're broken, That's all of us in general.
Right.
We all are, as adults, every adult is a puzzle that's missing at least one piece. Mm-hmm. You ain't all the way put together, and you ain't gonna get that piece.
Right.
So when I realized that and came to that realization, you gotta realize these students now, these younger kids now, they ain't even start piecing the puzzle together. No one allowed them to. They're shielded by their parents. They're shielded by, some family. They've never experienced anything. What I do and how I feel like I make the world a better place is I toughen them up a little bit. I teach them to look inward. I build stronger people.
Right.
When you build stronger people,
right.
They run the world.
Right.
Building a stronger workforce,
Right.
When teaching dedication, commitment, and all this, that's fatherhood.
Right.
That's motherhood.
Right.
That's everything.
Right. So you everybody daddy.
Yeah.
That's what you At 31 years old. Y'all, he's 31 years old. He everybody daddy. Y'all heard him say.
I'd rather be your uncle. Sometimes
okay. He can be your uncle. He can be your
more from your uncle than your daddy.
Right. He can be your uncle.
Because your uncle gonna tell you how it is.
Right.
Your daddy sometimes.
And you can tell your uncle secrets that he probably won't go back and tell your parents.
Yeah.
It'll stay just between you and your uncle.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing about building a stronger generation.
Right.
This cancel culture is so real. Mental health.
Lord. Right.
Is so real.
Right.
And they have so many things that cripple them.
Right.
So much so that they don't know exactly how strong they really are.
Right. And they just need somebody like you, the great one, to pull it out of them, to show them that potential that they really don't even realize that they have.
That's
and you
all I wanna do.
and you just touched on mental health, which leads me into my next question. Mm-hmm. Because at 31 years old, like I mentioned, you've been very successful. You've been a student conductor. You've been a band director of Southern University. You're now here at Texas Southern University. Mm-hmm. Someone would look at you and say, man, he got it. He is great. He is successful. But we know that behind every story of success, there's some type of sadness.
Yeah.
some type of struggle, some type of trauma that one has had to face in order to be able to push themselves to be great. So now I want to ask you, what was that struggle? What was that sadness or that trauma for you that happened in your life growing up?
Good question. It can be multiple things, but I'm going to go with the thing that has been the most reoccurring. Just like you said, all of the success, all of the positivity, all of the things great things that I've done in the world. All great things come with an inverse, and that's negativity. Sometimes that's hate. Sometimes that's people not supporting. I talk about the me becoming a young director at Southern University. I was assistant director at 22.
Wow.
People wasn't happy about that.
Of course not.
I mean, I wasn't prepared for that.
Yeah.
I
thought everybody was gonna love you,
or not even love me. Give me a chance.
Right.
Let my work speak for itself.
Right.
But eventually it came with a lot of negative hate and backlash until we had that first game. And they saw what I could do for real.
Right.
Then that went,
Right.
Then,
because actions speak louder than anybody's words.
In coming to Texas Southern, I had a group of people at Southern University they felt angry. They felt like I shouldn't have left. They felt betrayed by me. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know all the stuff that was going on, but they felt that I should have, stayed there. And because I left, then I'm a bad person. I never did anything good for y'all. You know what I'm saying? I was never, he ain't great. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He a aight one. He the aight one.
Yeah,
So I had that coming in. Then, I'm coming into Texas Southern University, and I have a whole bunch of people saying that it should be our guy. It's not him.
Right. Right.
It's just every time you try to open that door, there's always going to be some on the other side that you're not happy with, or some people that's not happy with you.
Right.
And again, that's been just a reoccurring theme. So much so that it would cripple me at times. Sometimes it would take me off my balance, take me off my rocket, take my focus away.
Right.
But I was able to. I still deal with it now because it's living.
Yeah.
As we're filming this right now, somebody's like, why is he on there?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's just how it goes.
Because I wanted him here.
Yes, and I'm here. But even now, I still deal with these things on a daily basis, all the time, the negativity. Right. But what I had to start doing was I had to identify my problem. I had to sit in my own sandbox. I had to deal with my stuff.
Right.
I had to realize, well, why do you feel the need for people to support you? Why did you expect that?
Why do you need validation?
But I had to realize that by looking in the past, I was a smart kid. And, my mom was a tough lady. She was tough. She had 3 sons in her 20s, police officer. That's fast paced, low patience, ain't got time for a lot of stuff. So we didn't have that warmth. My dad was a basketball coach, championship winning basketball coach.
Right.
I always felt like he spent more time with other people's kids than he did us.
Right.
But I also saw him bringing home the trophies and winning.
Right.
And I saw what that did for him.
Right.
So again, me coming up, that just created a toughness and a detachment from a lot of things. So I figured that out when I was doing my work as an adult. I had to realize where all that came from. I'm like, well, why do you seek validation? Why you feel like somebody needs to do that? You ain't get it all this time from so many people. Why you need it now? Look at what you have done. Then you must think about, all you see is what people didn't give you. Look at the people who have been here.
Right.
You have to learn to be appreciative.
Right.
I learned to be grateful. And then I learned to take myself out of spaces that don't feed me in a positive way.
Right.
And like the internet, I'm so, we was talking earlier, you was like, yeah, I don't get off into that. I check Instagram once a week.
Right. Oh, trust me, I know.
I check Instagram once a week.
I was hitting you up for the show. Right. He finally had to send me his phone number. Like, lady, send me a text message. Like,
but I had to detach myself from all of that just in general.
Right.
Because when you get on the internet, you're gonna play around. You stay long enough, you're gonna see something you don't see.
Right.
And once you read it, you internalize it, and you can't get it out your system.
Right.
So I had to create a healthy relationship with social media, with the internet and just overall outside world.
Right.
You know, I realized that I don't need validation, and not just in band, but in life in general. I don't care if you know what I just ate for dinner.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I'm good.
And on that note, validation is for parking tickets, not for people.
Thank you.
So when we come right back, we are going to be in our last segment, and we are going to be wrapping it up with the great one right after this. Okay, we are back. This is our last segment with Brian Simmons, the great one. I'll have you back on the show.
Yeah,
You don't have to
that.
be sad. I'll bring you back.
Okay.
I'll bring you back. I'll bring him back, y'all. Don't be sad. But we are going to ask just a few more questions. I'm going to throw some really quick questions out there for you before we wrap it up. So how many people are you in charge of in the band at Texas Southern University?
On the official instrumentalist roster, it's 170 plus 18 dancers. We have 3 twirlers. We have 3 drum majors.
Oh, you have to keep all of them in line?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you got to keep everybody in check.
So about 200 right on the dot.
Okay. So what's your favorite instrument now? You used to play the trombone and you went over to the baritone. What's your favorite instrument now? Is it still the trombone?
If I answer that, them kids would never let me live down. See, I knew it.
Oh,
you always
you gonna have favorites?
No, I have favorites in certain moments, and it just depends on the song and what the music requires.
Right.
Sometimes we're gonna be playing a song and F horns, y'all giving me everything I need. Your part is the most beautiful thing in the world. Sometimes tubas, ooh, yeah.
Right.
Sometimes trombones,
Okay.
Sometimes baritone.
What about percussion? What about percussion?
I was gonna get there.
Oh, okay.
The percussion, we're getting where we need to be finally.
Okay.
The style of Texas Southern percussion section was a little different.
Right.
So it was a lot for me to adjust to because I like simple things.
Right.
But they can be very complicated.
Right.
But now we're meeting in the middle. So me and the percussion, we good.
Okay, yeah. You know, when I was a student at TSU, I used to go watch the band practice, and I thought I was like on the drums.
Like Funk Train.
I was like the best drum player in the stands. Saxophone, that was me, and I was the best, flag twirler that they had out there. Nobody saw it though, but I was out there. I was out there. So what was your favorite music group coming up that you thought to yourself when you became a director, man, I gotta play one of their songs?
I'm a very eclectic person. Like when it comes to music, and I get that from my dad. Like my dad put in a burn CD with 20 songs on it, then none of it's related. It's Dottie Peoples, Tupac, Neo.
Not Dottie Peoples and Tupac.
Like my dad would make CDs.
Kiss.
He would make CDs of what he wanted to hear at that time.
Right.
But for me, my favorite artist, it would be Sade, because of course I have to say that because it's not her name.
She's
That's
my
the name of the
favorite.
group. That's the name of the group. I have
Right,
to say that.
right.
But Sade for real, like a whole catalog.
Right.
I like Luther
Hands
Vandross.
down.
I like Luther
Hands
Vandross.
down. Right.
That dude is.
Man, you do
he's
have a
stupid.
very old soul, y'all. He's 31, but he told me earlier when he came in here that he feels 41. So all these people that he bringing up, I can see you got a very old soul.
I like newer stuff too. A couple of years ago, I like Lucky Day. He's good.
Okay.
He's a great artist.
What about Juvenile? You grew up in
I grew up during the Juvenile era, but
y'all ain't never played Back the Thing Up or nothing like that?
everybody's played Back that thing up.
Okay.
And, when you're from a place,
right?
It's a part of you,
right?
But it's just natural. It's not
right.
something that you really think of all the time.
Right.
I'm in second grade and Back that thing up.
Right.
So of course I knew that. But I move around musically. I like a lot of different things. I listen to rock and roll. I listen to country. I listen to rap. I listen to neo soul. Like you said, I can go from Guns N' Roses all the way to Mos Def.
Wow.
It really just depends on where
you are very, 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 very musically inclined. Mm-hmm. You are the great one. I love it. So the last thing that I want to ask, it's the last question, and then we're going to follow up with your information on how everyone can reach you, because I know they're going to be looking for you. But the last thing that I want you to let the world know, one piece of advice: if there is someone who is young like you, who wants to be that trombone player but his arm is too short, who wants to be that great band director, who wants to be in charge, but somehow their head just keeps hitting the ceiling. They're not being seen, they're not being heard, their questions are going unanswered. What can you say to someone who may be at that breaking point of giving up or staying in that comfort zone and keeping themselves from the success that they know they deserve. What piece of advice can you give to someone about keeping a positive mindset and how that mindset will help them to become great?
I think, like outside of the music portion of it, like just in real life, look in the mirror often. Look in the mirror often. And ask yourself, do you see who you want to be? Do you see who you feel like? A lot of the disconnect comes from, people just not owning who they are. Because no matter how difficult something is, there's still greatness in you.
Right.
You keep bumping your head right here, your questions is going unanswered. There's greatness within you.
Right.
You have to be able to dig deep within yourself, to find it and use it towards whatever direction you want to go.
Right.
But you got to look in the mirror and know who you are. You got to start there, And when the decision for me in Texas Southern and Southern, I had to look in the mirror. And when I looked in the mirror, I realized what I was thinking, what I was going to do when I said that I wasn't going to go, when I said that I was going to stay, when I said that I was going to stay for free,
right,
without no money.
Right.
I couldn't respect that person because that ain't who I am.
Right.
Right. I always wanted to be.
You had to look at yourself and say, are you tripping?
I went home and I looked in that mirror. I was like, boy, you out here perpetrating. You are not the person you say you are. You're not the person everybody think you are. Because you're selling yourself short.
Right.
And I had to realize that there was greatness in me.
Right.
But it started with looking in the mirror.
Right.
It started with making that connection.
Right.
See, that's one of the most intimate things that a person can ever do. When you wake up in the morning, see, Issa was on to something. Mm-hmm. We thought it was a joke. Oh, she look in the mirror and they talk back to her. No, she has to get one with self.
Right.
So to that young person trying to do whatever you want to do, and you keep bumping your head and things aren't working out and things are getting hard and there's negativity everywhere, look in the mirror. Get in touch with you.
Right.
Silence all of that.
Right.
Ask if what you seeing in there is what you feeling here. Right. Ask if what you seeing in there is what you display out here.
Right.
Start with you.
Right.
Because what? There's greatness inside. No matter what everybody else saying around you.
Right.
God wouldn't have put it in your heart if you wasn't capable.
Right.
Right. That's for y'all.
Right.
That's what I got.
Right.
That's what I got. For all my people. For all of y'all. He wouldn't put it on your heart. He wouldn't say it's your purpose. He wouldn't have people supporting you in this thing if that wasn't who you was.
Right.
If you couldn't get that done.
And I'm sitting here because from what you said, it came across to me as you were saying you can head in the right direction when you can see your own reflection. Look in the mirror, figure out who you are, and make sure that you are reflecting to the world exactly who you are supposed to be. Brian, thank you so much for being here on the Mental Motivator show today.
Anytime.
I want you to tell the world if they want to follow you on social media, maybe they want to book you for another event, maybe they want to book the band for a special event. How can they find you?
Okay. I'm across many platforms in a way. So if you go on Facebook, you look up Brian K. Simmons. My daddy on Facebook too. His name Brian too. So I had to put the K.
You had to put the K. Okay, okay. Because they're going to be messaging your daddy.
Yeah. And he will message them back pretending to be me. Like he do that type of stuff. But on Facebook it's Brian K. Simmons. On Instagram it's thegreat_12023. So thegreat_1 and one is spelled out ONE 2023. That's how you can find me.
Or y'all can catch him out there on that field at Texas Southern University,
I know.
where they have several competitors but no competition. And this has been another episode of the Mental Motivator. I hope that Brian Simmons' story has inspired all of you to find your own success story, and so that you can help change the way you live, think, and thrive. Until next time, y'all, peace.